I know that I cannot be the only one that is looking at these Tyler Robinson messages, scratching my head in utter disbelief that anyone would buy into this nonsense, let alone the FB freaking I. And look, I could be wrong. I am always open to being wrong, and when I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but I don't think I'm wrong here. I think there's a reason why not only I, but the majority of you watching this video, I think there's a reason why we all kind of had the same reaction to these messages. I think there's a reason why we all looked at these messages, we raised our freaking eyebrow like The Rock, and we said, what in the freak is this crap? Because it's not like we're all living under a rock or something, right? What 20-something-year-old person, what 22, what young person do you know that messages like that? What young person do you know that messages like that? Now, look, I don't know how they get down in Utah. Maybe they use proper grammar and proper punctuation. Maybe they don't abbreviate any words or use any emojis. But I can tell you that I'm someone in my 30s, and I don't even text like that. Especially when I'm texting somebody I know, I am using slang, I am using broken English, I am throwing some emojis in there and peppering it with some LOLs. And it's funny because when I was reading the messages, one of the first things that came to my mind was my grandmother. God bless her soul. Because my grandmother, in her late 70s, up into her 80s, up until the day that she died, she prided herself on the fact that she was the only woman in her age, in her church groups and stuff, that knew how to text. Okay? And my grandma, up until the day she died, she would text me all the time. And she would use abbreviations like a young person. She would say LOL. Sometimes she would shock me by sending me little gifs and emojis and stuff. And that was my grandma at like 80-something years old, right? So I was really thinking about that, and I was looking at these messages, and it just seems so hard to believe that in this day and age, people are communicating in this way. And you got to think who we're dealing with here. We're dealing with 20-something-year-old gamer furry freaks. I mean, on the bullets, Tyler engraved all of these like gaming memes and stuff like that. Stuff that I'm too old to hardly even understand, right? He had these furry memes and stuff like that that he joked about that he etched into the bullets. And when you look at what he etched into the bullets and then you look at the messages, it just doesn't really line up. Now, I already made a video going all through all of the messages that they released. That's in my last video. You should go check that out if you haven't already, if you want to know, every single message that I'm referring to. But yeah, it's just something about it does not seem right. I don't see people in that age range communicating in that way. And also, it's like the conversation is so awkward because it kind of hits all the beats. Hey, I killed Charlie. The gun is here. Here's why I did it. Here's how long I've been planning it. It's really weird. And the reactions that are coming, that's coming from Lance, seem to be really dry for the situation at hand. So, because the messages are so weird, people are looking at it and they're coming up with their own theories, right? And because no one believes it. No one believes it. Personally, I believe that this is a fake staged conversation. I believe that this is a conversation, a pre-planned conversation that Tyler had with Lance. So when Tyler got caught, Lance would get away free, right? Lance wouldn't have to worry about any repercussions. That's what I think. But some people are going so far as to think that, hey, maybe the FBI and law enforcement just totally faked all of these messages and there's all of this bigger stuff going on. I don't think that's the case. But I do think that law enforcement needs to kind of address this situation when it comes to these messages, because this is not giving the public the confidence that, that these people are going to be properly held accountable who may have knowledge about what Tyler was going to do. And these messages seem like the most unbelievable hogwash. Literally, I don't even use that word much, but hogwash, that's what it seems like. It seems like literal hogwash. It seems like a fanfic, a furry fanfic that they put out there for sympathy or something. It's just really weird. It comes off as really weird. And down to the way that they just spell out everything. It's not gamer language. It just doesn't seem authentic to me at all. I don't know. It just all seems way too convenient, if you ask me. Way too convenient. And some of the language that is used in these messages, like I said, it doesn't feel like the language of a young person. It definitely does not feel like the language of a young, furry, loving gamer. If anything, it sounds like the language of a law enforcement officer or something like that. And to be clear, I'm not saying that the FBI or law enforcement totally made up these messages. I know people have that theory. I already told you what my theory is, and that isn't it. But looking at these messages, I'm like, I kind of understand why people are taking things that far, because this is hella fishy. I mean, at one point, he even says, oh, there was a lingering vehicle in the area. Who in the hell uses the word vehicle? Who? And you got to also remember that these are not messages to a random person. These are messages to the closest person that he has, his trans furry boyfriend lover, right? So the conversation also just feels cold on that level. And maybe it's cold because the furry lover doesn't really care about Tyler. Maybe the furry lover got what he needed out of Tyler. He got Tyler to kill Charlie and take the fall, while him and his other furries go ahead and transition and live in La La Land. I don't know. But also at one point in the messages, Tyler expresses how he did not leave any evidence behind, except for the rifle. And he's acting like, he did such a good job. He didn't leave anything behind. But for someone who seemed to be concerned about leaving evidence behind, he sure is willy-nilly in these messages admitting to what he did. If you're someone who was careful not to leave evidence behind, then why in the hell would you message someone about that while you're still in the general area of where you killed Charlie Kirk? Oh, I didn't leave any evidence behind. If I could get my rifle, there will be no evidence, except all of these messages where I admit to killing Charlie Kirk, and I admitted how long I planned it, and I admitted why. I just went down the list of everything and hit all of the bullet points in these messages. Whew, folks. I promise you that all I want to do is find everyone responsible for what happened to Charlie and everyone that knew. I am not interested in going down any conspiracy theory rabbit holes for views and attention. That is not what I'm interested in. But I'll be damned. I'll be damned if this just does not look weird, if this doesn't stink. I almost want to say it glows like Rudolph's nose. We're getting close to Christmas time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to go to bed tonight really just thinking about these messages. And if any of you disagree, please feel free. Maybe you can make me feel better. If you think you can make me feel better about these text messages, please do so down below. If you think you can convince me that these are genuine and they feel genuine, please let me know down below. And I don't even say that as a joke. I have yet to see anyone that thinks that these are, or that this is a genuine conversation. And I see a lot of theories about what could be going on here. But yeah, I still think that this was all just kind of a made up interaction that they planned to do so only Tyler would take the fall for something that involved other people, to a certain level, even if they only just had knowledge that something was going to happen. But for now, you guys let me know what you think of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon at the next one.